Mikel, Kahuna, and
Dan.
podcast.
All right, welcome back.
Episode 7.
Episode 7, Big Kel and
Kahuna.
I am Kelly,
I am Alec.
and we actually have a guest today.
I only took 7 episodes.
You want to introduce him?
Sure. So this is my friend Dan that we used to work together at a fantastic company that will be left nameless. But we fostered a relationship from there, and then we've been hanging out for
No
years.
sarcasm, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've been hanging out for years since. So you want to tell the
Well,
audience
you guys
of
were
the 3
weightlifting
listeners?
buddies, right?
Did the weightlifting thing together for a bit, and then common interests, UFC, politics, technology, business, kind of stuff, like the interesting conversations that we always have. So thanks for the invite today. And
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we're glad to have you.
Thanks
Someone
for
of Alec's
placating
age
us.
group.
Yeah. Well, a little bit older.
A little
There's
older.
a 6-year age gap between
All
the
right,
two of
well,
us.
you're
so.
closer to him than me.
Although, are you technically Zoomer?
Yeah.
Or- yeah.
Unfortunately.
A Zoomer.
I'm technically a Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Gen Z.
But Gen Z ends with the year above me.
Then what am I?
You're a boomer.
No, I'm not.
Okay,
My
boomer.
parents were baby boomers. They came after the
No,
war.
you're probably
What year?
Gen X.
67.
He's very early Gen X.
Okay.
All right.
I'm a very late millennial.
Yeah, I'm a very late Gen Z.
Yeah.
And we all hate our generations. My generation nowadays can't get through a 2-minute video without seeing Subway Surfer on the bottom of the screen.
All right, so let me ask you guys a couple questions. Have you learned how to drive a stick shift?
No.
No.
I've never had the opportunity.
Do you know how to do a rotary phone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We know what floppy disks are, too.
Okay. Well, yeah,
Well,
but
did
you
you
guys got a
actually ever have
computer
to-
background.
Did you ever have to use a floppy disk? Did you?
Yeah, I use
Or
a
in-
floppy
in
disk
which
in
computer
one?
class?
like fifth grade computer
three,
class.
The
The
3.5 or the 2.25?
The 3.5.
Yeah, I used that, and then when they went to 2, it was like, "Wah!" And then they put everything on a stick. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I might be the last generation. In the summertime, when it was hot, we used to drink straight from the hose.
I did, too. In
Yeah.
Canada, I
well,
drank
that's
from the
because
hose.
you're my son.
Remember when I had that really long water snake that you would fill up and it had really strong pressure?
Yeah.
But we'll talk about one more thing with technology, and then I want to get into the fact that we actually have a guest.
Sure.
I don't want to muzzle you, and I don't want him to tell you, can I finish? But the one thing I was proud of as
That's
a
not
kid.
fair.
Oh, that's not
Inside
fair.
joke from the last episode.
The Motorola Razor you got me when I was probably in elementary school.
Yeah.
I thought it was the coolest thing in the world when I figured out if you press the number button 2 or 3 times, you can text the second or third
Right.
letter.
That's how we had to text. You hit number 9. What is it? XYZ and ding, ding, ding. Or
Well, you
1 is
had-
ABC.
You always had a BlackBerry, and I remember before football, you would always let me play Brick Breaker.
Yeah. I at the agency I worked at, they must have had like 10, 15,000 Blackberries. I was number 3, the last of the 3 to give them up.
The last of the
Wow,
Mohicans.
wow.
Yeah, because I didn't want to learn how to do everything on Apple, but now I can't do it. He made me buy a Samsung phone one time. It was really cool, and I couldn't use it.
Which Samsung phone?
After
was
having
this?
been on iPhone?
Yeah, we were on iPhone. He says, yeah, it's the big one with the big screen. You're like, everybody has it. This is like 8 years ago. You're like, get that. And I got it, and I'm like, there's no apps.
Oh, yeah, I told him to get it like a Samsung Note or something.
Oh, man.
we
Yeah,
went
no,
back
it was
to
weird
Apple.
because it went right from Razor was like the hottest thing, but then of course people in the professional environment definitely BlackBerry, and then I just went right to iPhone. And
I had the old Toshiba one where was it Ericsson phone, right?
Okay.
The flip phone, and you pulled the antenna up.
Yup, yup.
I think I still have those somewhere. I should probably sell those too.
That was the one that Gordon Gekko was using in Wall Street.
Yeah. Good one. Okay, so we're gonna. You want to try to take it again this week, or is this a joint effort?
Let's relinquish it to you because you did not have any Snoop Dogg wine today.
Yeah, that wasn't good last week. All right, well, we recapped last week. We don't have too much going on, but the current events. Should we talk about those?
Sure, you want to start with the planes?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, we got something in the news today that said that the helicopter, I don't know this, I'm just reading what I read, was twice the altitude it should have been at. So the ceiling was 200, and it should have been 175. They hit at 350. So
And I saw
they got some explanations to do there.
I saw their flight path when they were going up to there. They had a near collision with 2 other planes.
Really.
So,
And
and the lady who was flying the Black Hawk only had 500 hours of flight experience.
So I did like double click into that recently, and
yeah,
so
what
I
was
think
the
in order
story there?
in order to become an Army aviation pilot, which is mostly helicopters, you do have to have 200 hours. So it's like she's like more than double what is required for. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So, but like it is interesting too that was a I believe it was a VH-60, which is like a VIP transport helicopter operating in like the National Capital
Right.
Region, like one of the busiest airspaces in the whole world. And so like maybe that is light, 500 hours. Like she's qualified to pilot a Black Hawk, but this is like the most complicated airspace in the world. And then that whole issue with the like twice above the altitude ceiling, like there's just got to be a system in place.
Yeah.
And it's like I get you're trying to simulate like a response to a national security event, but I'm sorry, I think like the one key thing that we're going to take out of this is that like our whole national airspace system needs some major upgrading.
Yeah.
We need like AWS or Google.
No,
or
no, we
Microsoft
got to
to
do
upgrade
something.
that.
But while I was
Hold on, real
explaining to
quick.
my
You
wife,
see how when like Kelly or I are talking, it's at about 45%. Yeah, perfect.
there you go.
We're good.
Okay.
Well, the one thing I was
You're
telling
good.
my wife, she was asking why the helicopters up there. I said, well, they're contingency planning in continuity of operations, and they come out of Fort Belvoir, so they're the quickest in there. Besides Andrews, but I don't think they have helicopters there.
What do you think they have a QRF for DC?
Yeah.
Quick reaction force.
Oh, they're coming from all over the
Yeah,
place.
good point.
Remember, Mount Weather out here past Winchester is the old atomic bunker site for the government. I actually had to do stuff there. Well, what I was telling them, though, Dan, is and even more unfortunate is the one that happened in Philadelphia, right, with the two pilots, the doctor, the nurse, the mother, and the child who just came out of Shriners, and it was on the medevac back. I was telling them their president was on and said that those crews do 600 flights a year. But that flight went up and down in less than a minute.
Right.
So on both of those instances, I know enough, and those of you who don't, watch the History Channel when they recreate accidents. There is an alignment of 4, 5, 6 things that all hit the shitter at the same time. Whether it's the fact that you're supposed to have a different ATC operator for the commercial flights and the military flights, and the supervisor supposedly the news came out this morning, let one of the people go early, so one guy was handling both of them. Those guys were at the wrong altitude. They couldn't see, maybe the night vision. I can guarantee you from what I know, Alec, is that there will be a list of 3, 4, 5 things, 6 things that all happen to hit every time. And there has to be some kind of mechanical failure with that plane in Philadelphia, would you think?
That's exactly what I thought when I first saw that video. Unless it was like some kind of situation where the dude just wanted to kill himself and everybody else on board kind of situation. That just looks like mechanical failure.
Doesn't sound like Sky King to me.
Right.
Something would have went wrong with the flaps or something.
You were the
where
one
they
that told me
injured
with
that.
the helicopter and plane crash is that the ATC guy was on 2 separate channels.
That's
for
what
the
I just said,
helicopter? Okay.
Yeah.
And then, the thing with the ATC, like number one, there was one when there should have been at least 2.
At least 2.
And, people were getting on President Trump for the comments about DEI, but, there's that big lawsuit that's been known about for a little bit of time, but people kind of forgot about. But the FAA literally changed their rules under President Obama to make it so that it's not purely merit-based, but there's other kind of bullshit, check boxes to check to see if you'd make it as an FAA person. And so, people jumped on him a little, maybe because he got on a little bit early, but there's a serious problem there. Why are we sending people home when they have an understaffed control tower?
They said they should have 30. There's only 19. I don't know when they sent it, but they should have sent it early because they said they're supposed to run 2 ATC guys or gals to 21:30, so 9:30 at night. This happened at like 5 or 6. They sent them home with a half a shift in a busy time on a Friday evening in DCA at 5 o'clock, opposed to maybe Monday morning between 7 and 8. Those are the 2 busiest times.
Right.
I don't get it.
Yeah. And what's interesting, too, is I saw an article regarding the FAA turning away
1,000. There's
who were
1,000 people
qualified, but
in
they
a
were
lawsuit.
turned away solely based on race.
Yeah, but there's 1,000 individuals in a class action suit against the FAA who claim that because they were all Caucasian, they were denied.
Which I guess is why Trump had to do the executive order to eliminate DEI in the ATC, because the ATC is state, it's not federal, so it doesn't fall under.
Oh, that's
ATC's
federal.
federal.
Oh,
it's
it's
under FAA under the DOT. So Secretary Duffy has it.
So why would he
They have an
do-
acting guy. I know him actually, Chris Ruchello, really good dude. who's the acting administrator. He's the deputy administrator at FAA, but he's in there a week and he gets these two things. This is unbelievable.
You know, this kind of reminds me. I know it's like kind of like a generational based podcast. Like, do you remember when Reagan fired all of the air traffic controllers?
Yeah, because they went on strike.
Because they went on strike, and then he just fired them all. And so, like, I think there's just some. That
precedence.
There's like analogy or like there's like comparisons to be made. I feel like to like people are trying to blame this on Trump,
right.
like making some like slight alterations to whatever board or committee that's in charge of something totally unrelated to air traffic controllers. And like it is like a wholly centrally controlled federal thing that's done. And I think that the biggest takeaway for me, because I saw, you guys know who Dean Phillips is, that guy that tried to run as a Democrat for the 2024 election against Biden. Democrats totally.
Oh yeah, they told him he couldn't even primary.
They totally crushed him.
They put that dude in the closet. They hid him away.
They really did, and the guy was like very, very middle of the road. Like would have like definitely given Trump a run for his money if they had actually allowed an open primary. But he was out there calling for like we need to modernize our system. No, Thomas Massey.
They're not wrong.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to be the thing that happens out of this, because I mean, to your point, like it's going to come out that it's like 6 things that if any one of those 6 had not happened, this would have been avoided.
Right.
But there, at the end of the day, like there should have been, some kind of like automated system that alerted, either the air traffic controllers, the pilots of the commercial.
So I'm not a military guy, and maybe somebody could tell us, but
you think there'd be an alarm for the height limit?
Well, I watched Top Gun enough to know that when you hit a ceiling
or
and you
floor,
program it in, the alarms go off.
Right.
And those helicopters, and this is a conversation we were having with your mom last night. She goes, "Why are they running so low?" I said, "Because they got to come in low."
Yeah.
I said, "If you can learn how to fly within 200 feet of land and water, you can fly up in the sky anywhere."
Right.
That's the hard one. Plus, they're going to have to come up the river in the event of an issue. I just find it funny. We were talking earlier that 7 days in, and this is Trump's fault. Somebody said this morning, I saw on some liberal thing, that this is Elon Musk's fault because he convinced Trump to fire the FAA administrator because he was fining SpaceX for safety infractions.
Well, dude, we could spend a whole episode on Elon Musk because I don't know if you know this or not, but this is Elon Musk's #1 fan over here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, good. We should.
It's
one day,
cool that so Starlink just had that deal with Apple.
Yep.
So you don't need 3G or 5G anymore. You could just use Starlink on your iPhone everywhere for calls and texts.
Well, you can put Starlink through your iPhone?
Yeah.
They just announced that,
Oh,
and they're gonna start like
so
beta.
there's no dead zones anymore.
There's gonna be 0 dead zones
See,
as
listen,
long as you have an iPhone.
That guy's brilliant.
Yeah.
And the shit he comes up with is useful. And
We just need to keep his hands by his waist.
look, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you're wicked smart, you're wicked smart. Those are special people.
Yeah.
So
Savants.
So here's a question. I asked Alec this, and it's probably not a question for the show, but I read that there's certain things that happen in either diet or vitamins in a prenatal environment that could throw somebody into autism because of the way the mother is and what they push, whether that's true or not. So the question is, do you run the risk of having 9 people on the scale of autism, from those that are really bad to up, to get that one guy like Elon Musk?
Is Asperger's a type of autism, or is that separate?
I don't know. I
He
want to
has
say
Asperger's?
separate.
Yeah, he's got Asperger's.
He was on SNL and he made that big announcement.
Yeah.
And he was actually pretty funny on SNL. But
He
that was
was
like one of
good.
the first things that he like awkwardly talked about. But so yeah, your thought experiment of like, do you increase like the rate of autism?
10%
If, like,
chance.
what,
The
yeah,
full
one in
geniuses?
10. I don't know. It's
But
interesting.
that's eugenics, right?
Because in a way.
Well,
Is
Shane
there a
Gillis
way?
said something. He said we'd need like 30 million autistic dudes to fight China in cyber warfare because we're going against 1 billion people.
So I'm not a computer guy. I trust you guys are. So with the issue with OpenAI coming up and that big AI investment that Trump talked about, and that Chinese company DeepSeek in a week.
DeepSeek broke Nvidia's stock. I think it dropped by 1/4 because it showed you don't need Nvidia
buy it next week.
GPUs.
Buy that shit next week.
It was the single greatest destruction of wealth in the stock market in all of human history, like
Wow.
in total dollar value lost. And but they made a big like comeback like the next day. I'm not sure like where the stock is at today, but I mean I know a lot of people that I talked to personally
on Monday,
that bought
I'm going to
it.
buy a shitload of it. I'll
Yeah.
tell the broker to reinvest like you did, because I'll end up buying it like
I can't-
$100 cheaper than you.
I can't tell Tom to invest because last time I told my accountant to invest, I told him to buy stock in Rivian.
You bought
Just-
Rivian stock?
This was like 2 years ago.
Why would you do that?
Because I had
You
a
thought
couple,
they were the next
I
big
had a
thing?
couple beers and I saw a YouTube video and I sent him a voicemail like 2 a.m. I said, Tom, you got to do Rivian. You got to do Rivian.
Yeah, but you need to send him a note and say, listen, if I ever leave you a message or call you
Oh, we
between
have-
8 p.m. and
yeah.
8 a.m., disregard.
Oh no! I told him like a year ago that never don't do what I tell you.
Well, I
he
mean,
gets drunk and watches YouTube, and then all hell breaks
Yeah.
loose. I'm buying this. I'm buying that.
Rivian though, I mean, those are nice looking trucks.
looks
though. I
pretty
mean, I
sick.
like them. I mean,
So
like,
what's
don't
the issue?
I
They
don't
have
know.
market
They,
share?
don't they have like the Saudis backing them financially too?
They do now, but
They're in
they
Richmond,
took
I think.
they took a hit I think 2 years ago because their production was delayed heavily
Okay.
and their batteries are not up to snuff as the Elon Musk batteries. It'd be so cool to see the battery. You know, Formula E. It's Formula One
yeah.
but electric. They have this new technology where they can charge the entire Formula E car's battery to full in 30 seconds.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Because that's like the major limiting factor. Whenever I talk to them, talking about like generational differences again, like, you know, my parents are slowly getting on the Tesla bandwagon because of everything that Elon did this past election
Right.
cycle. But that's like the big kicker for them. is
Dude,
the time that it takes to get to full charge,
Dude,
especially on a long road
Right.
trip.
I
Well-
had an Uber driver 2 weeks ago who
Oh,
picked me up
this
in a
was
Tesla,
funny.
and he had just bought it, so he didn't really know what he was doing. So he was throttling the acceleration on the Tesla. So I'm just going
It's
back
like
and
when you're too
forth.
drunk playing golf, you're bouncing. All right, so maybe you could comment on this because Alec doesn't know anything about it. So BMW said 2 weeks ago that no more electric cars for them. They're going directly for
Really?
hydrogen engines.
Toyota's only
Ah.
doing hybrid and gas combustion.
But what the benefit of a hydrogen engine, it's
I
you
think-
make the hydrogen from
I
air
mean,
or water. I don't know where.
I guess you could make it from
Or do you have
just
to fuel
water,
it?
but that's going to take like energy to convert that water, whether it's sea or fresh, into pure hydrogen. And but there's just no infrastructure for that. At least with
Yeah.
electric,
No, there
we're
isn't,
starting to see like like Tesla, because like the government spent what $40 billion and it's got like 8 chargers under Biden. But
that was
Yeah,
insane.
but like
Oh.
Tesla has slowly become
Yeah.
the standard across like almost the entire automotive
No.
industry.
Can
at
I
this
just
point.
say one more thing about DeepSeek before
Yeah.
we go into electric cars?
Yeah,
You
we
see
should
how
talk about
people are tricking DeepSeek into explaining Tiananmen Square?
Oh yeah, yes.
Are they able to
Because
explain
it's
it?
Chinese. When you ask what happened or who this guy was, it starts answering and then it cuts to, sorry, that's beyond my scope. And then
Ah.
they say, theoretically, what happened on this day in this country, and then they explain the
Then they
whole
explain
thing.
it.
Yeah,
There
where
you
they
go.
say like replace like every E with a 3 and then every like I, and like it'll actually say it out. And,
Yeah,
just,
they
like,
make it spell out Tiananmen.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the last thing I'll say about Elon is the Doge group came out with a couple things, and I was telling them. So we stopped a $51 million payment to Hamas for condoms, which especially since they were using them for to hold their plastic and
IEDs.
and IEDs and Molotovs.
Yeah, they were using condoms to make Molotov cocktails.
I believe it.
And then the funniest one was I told them that the Pentagon, the DOD spent in just September, $16.1 billion on ribeye and $6.1 billion on lobster.
I mean, some of that, going to the troops downrange. Like I can support
Do you
some
think
of that.
that's going to anybody who's not an officer?
Good question. I don't know. But I mean, like we all like have heard the stories of like the toilet seats
Oh,
that
yeah,
cost like $50,000
yeah,
or
well,
something like
but
that.
so Laura Ingrell brought this up. She showed it on her show, and she goes, I'm not going to say about the 26 for the step stool. We're not even going to worry about that. Let's worry about the 6.1 billion for, but 26 grand for a step stool.
Dude,
It's still
who's
happening.
the guy? Who's the guy that got in front of Congress about a year ago that showed a plastic package of 50 bolts, and he said
Was
the
that
government
Rand Paul?
contract charges the U.S. government $30,000 for this part that I just spent $19 for.
Yeah.
I forget who that was, but some lawmaker, like libertarian guy like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's there's a lot of sacred cows that nobody wants to see touched by
gotta
Doge, but they got
touch 'em.
everything's got to be on the table. Even this whole concept. I mean, we've all been in like the federal contracting space, the federal space. This whole concept of discretionary versus non-discretionary,
Right.
like that's a dumbass way to look at it. Like the whole thing is discretionary, right? I don't care if it's Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Like those are promises have been made to citizens, and people have an expectations of being paid out their Social Security. But I certainly don't have an expectation to be paid out everything that I put into Social Security.
I think Social
I
Security
think-
will be defunct by the time we're his age.
But I mean, like the
But
congressional.
don't count on it. So that's the advice I give you guys. Don't count on that. Do your own
Right.
your own savings. We've talked about that before. And if you get it, you get it. Now the government has an obligation, and if they're not running a deficit, they should be able to expand and get it under control. But you never know. some of this stuff is just nonsense. What's going on?
You want to talk about the chickens?
Oh yeah. So and this is why I like the new press secretary. I don't know her name, the blonde gal.
Yes.
Because a week into Trump's
I think
administration,
she's better than Kathy or Caitlin Herschel or whatever her name was. The girl that's on Fox now. Kayleigh McEnany.
She's a little bit more abrupt, which I like. She's more matter of fact. Well, she has to be this 4 years and the prior 4 years because they ain't taking any prisoners. They're just moving.
Don't
Plus,
say
you don't
that.
gotta worry
Liberals
about,
will think we're taking prisoners.
Yeah, but 1 week in, the liberals are blaming Trump and the conservatives for the price of eggs,
Right.
Yeah.
and how they got up. But and this is what kills me. I saw from Mark Warner, which is our senator, to 9 other people all say the same talking points about fucking eggs, which I didn't get. It's just, it's a goof.
You're lucky.
And if she
It's
goes
20 minutes. We
and she
get
goes,
demonetized if you say that 15 minutes
she
earlier.
goes, you do know that the Biden administration put in the order to kill 2 million egg laying for a disease. They had bird flu or something. Right. They killed 2 million of them like 60 days ago. And they said, prices of eggs are going to go up. But they've all conveniently forgot that.
Yep.
So,
just like how Biden tried to inherit Trump's economy in 2020. There was this fascinating...
Well, he said that inflation was at 9% when he came in, and it was like at 2%.
There was this fascinating thing I saw today. I forget who said it, but it was some prolific politician who has a social media following. He said, when Trump did Operation Warp Speed and got out the vaccine in, what was it, 2020? Yeah.
2019.
2019.
Biden came in 2020.
Yeah, and all the liberals are saying, don't trust that vaccine. The vaccine's going to kill you.
A month later when
and then once
Biden
Biden came in, you have to take the vaccine. Here's the vaccine.
Mandated it for contractors.
Yeah, we could sue our employers for the vaccine.
I took it before the mandate came.
Oh.
I know. I took the J&J.
And then my boss at the time told me, I said, so, because he's a New Age Christian, Chase, he thinks the Earth is 2,000 years old.
Sweet.
But I said, so how do you feel about having to take the vax? He goes, I didn't. I claimed religious exemption. And I go, why didn't I do that? But I thought about it. I wasn't an SVP, so I probably couldn't claim a religious exemption.
Maybe not. Yeah. Look, the thing that I don't understand, the Republican Party's getting it because of Trump, and they're changing. The Democratic Party haven't figured it out.
I think they're regressing.
Well, they haven't figured out their identity. I don't understand why they don't just take it. Doesn't matter, and someone like us, right? It doesn't matter what side you're on. You can be a libertarian, you could be a Democrat, you could be a liberal, independent, whatever it is. But if you just speak the truth and just say, "Hey, that's bullshit. This is what the real," and just be matter of fact, truthful, and don't hide shit, don't run an agenda, I think you'd be winning everything.
I think you get everybody because the reason why people don't like Trump is because they see him as like the radical 5% on the right. And you and I can agree.
But he's not, though.
Yeah, but he's not.
He just,
I can
says
agree.
what the truth is. Now, you might not
but
like
that's
his...
radical.
But you might like the way he does it. And that's what your grandma doesn't like. His bombastic style and his commentary. Not the shit he's doing, but she doesn't like the shit he's doing because she doesn't like his style.
Right.
But that's not a good enough reason.
But, Dan, I think you'll agree with us. We'll listen to anybody's opinions. We just kind of discount the 5% on the far left and the 5% on the far right.
And anybody who throws us a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
No.
If you're playing your company line and you're throwing bullshit, like I didn't understand why 158 Democrats did not vote for the Lincoln-Riley Act.
Right.
Well, how could you
What's
not
going on
vote
there?
for sending a legal immigrant who's committed a heinous sexual crime against children, women, and anything else?
Oh, that could be one of our bitches of the week, Selena Gomez.
No,
that was mine. No way. You just
we
stole
don't
mine.
talk
Oh, I'm sorry.
We don't
I'm
talk
sorry.
about- no, you can't use
Oh,
a
yeah.
woman.
So I got
That's
in
the
trouble.
rule.
I got in trouble. We
Yeah,
can't
it's
call
only
women.
for dudes. And
Got it.
so let me clarify.
Damn
We
it.
had to
that.
cancel an episode. I have half an episode that we never aired because I called
Yeah,
a
don't
female
say it.
bitch of the week.
But because in the very first episode and in the book we say this is for dude. So when you're dealing with guys, when they start acting like punk ass bitches, they're a bitch, right?
Yep.
And then I told Alec when they keep going beyond that, then they become the C word. And not like we say it,
I keep
but like
trying to
all
goad him into saying
all the
it.
people in England, Canada, Ireland, Scotland.
They like
it's
that
just
word.
it's,
It
yeah.
sounds cool
like
when
that.
an
But
Irishman says it.
here it's like
Oh, it's like
worse. It's worse than saying bitch. You can't
it's like the N word for women.
Yeah.
Like you just cannot go there.
yeah. But So when we're saying bitch of the week,
Well,
it's
hold
for
on.
dudes.
Speaking of that, Conor McGregor had a tweet up for 5 minutes where it was a picture of Khabib
yeah,
and
but
his
that's
wife,
heinous.
and he
man.
said he told Khabib, "You
Don't
married
say
a
that.
towel,"
Yeah.
yeah.
and then deleted the tweet and then supported Bryce Mitchell. He's off his rocker. He's doing too much cocaine.
Yeah, he's not looking good. But no, I did to you, John. I wanted to come back to Trump and his demeanor and how it's very off-putting. Because like I agree that he's like one of the most moderate, national politicians that we've seen. In
He was
probably,
a
like,
registered Democrat.
he
till
was
like
a registered
2005.
Democrat for a long time.
Well,
and
they
he-
all loved him until he became a Republican.
Invited
and
to the
came
Clinton-
down the escalator.
yeah, and invited
then
to
he
the
was
Chelsea
enemy
wedding.
number one.
Yeah, and now I get into these arguments with my fiance about it, and she just like, yeah, like why can't he be, a nice person and have the best policies? And it's like, if I have to choose one, I want the policies that advance my interests, my
But,
family's
I
interests.
don't need someone to coddle me. I need someone to
right.
get stuff
and
done.
he tells the
But
truth,
the issue
unvarnished
is
as it may be.
He's always spoken like that. So it doesn't offend me. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have
Yeah.
said that. But conversely, and I'll discount Joe Biden because I'm not a big fan of Joe Biden, and he was not an eloquent speaker. I will give President Obama credit because he was very eloquent, and he got it, and he presented very well. However, I thought he was a silver-tongued son of a bitch. So I didn't believe the
Who?
shit he was
Obama?
saying. Yeah, although he said it very well, and he articulated his points, he followed it, he was clean in what he had to say. I just didn't believe the shit he was
Well, you
saying.
know he
It's a
loved to
ro-
spend a lot of money on hot dog parties at the White House.
One thing about Obama that I heard recently, I thought this was very like compelling. This observation was that he was a very eloquent public speaker. But can you name like one compelling like quote that he has?
Change.
You really like everything that I guess change or like one that comes to mind for me is like, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon, like which was like totally
What?
unnecessary. Oh, remember that? I mean, that was like, kind of like the start of the whole.
He did race baiting shit.
I
which
mean, that was
didn't
the
like.
start of
Yeah.
it too, and like that's. I mean, it was his second administration, and like you can like a lot of this crazy stuff that's happened since like his second term. I would argue, the BLM
wokeism
riots,
and all
the
that nonsense.
yeah,
When
LGBT.
Michelle Obama
going
went on
crazy.
Ellen and danced.
A lot of that started after the 2012 election, and his because he won, he doesn't have to worry about
Yeah, you don't have to
re-election.
worry about anything
and
anymore.
All
that's
the
one
red
thing.
weddings he caused.
Right. I mean, people are like, oh, what about Trump in 2016? Like, yeah, Trump won in 2016. Part of me really thinks that was like an accident that he won. Like he kind of ran as a joke and then ended up winning. And like,
Yeah.
see, they kind of had to scramble last minute to put together his administration. And then that whole first administration, I mean, he had some good
Well, he had to
things.
keep
He
putting
was
out
being
fires 'cause he was
railroaded.
being attacked.
He was being
railroaded.
attacked, and like there were a lot
And
of government.
and the Clintons are not good people.
Russian
not good people.
collusion.
No, but like, there were so many government bureaucrats too
Oh,
that
yeah.
were doing everything that they could to impede.
I love the fact that he's purging people.
Right.
Dude,
right.
Now,
that's
you gotta if you want to work with him, you take a loyalty oath. A loyalty oath or something. But these people, look, I worked in the government for 12 years. There are people in there that will be obstinate and they will slow everything down and they will do pocket vetoes. I am glad he's taken out people that are because what they don't understand, and this is what I don't get. I didn't vote for Obama. I'll make that clear. Never. I never voted for a Democrat in my life ever.
according to this podcast, I don't vote.
But he's still my president.
Right.
And being in the executive branch, you have to do the will of the president.
100%.
But the fact that these guys were obstinate and not doing it and actually having meetings before Trump got there to see how they could facilitate slowing him down or causing him problems, I heard they got the names of people that were doing that. And those are the guys that are being told they got to leave.
Well, looking back on
And
it,
you know what? Rightfully so, because that's
Yeah.
your boss. In any private organization, if you were deliberately trying to screw with your boss and fuck with your boss and not letting them get their done,
Bye-bye.
you'd be
Yeah.
gone.
And you want to hear something? Actually, there's a you guys hear about the Trump looking to fire all of the FBI investigators and
that were part of the
Jack
J6.
Smith?
they're part of
Jack Smith?
Jack Smith's his whole team. They got fired yesterday, but they're gonna go for like up to like 1,000 plus
They should.
FBI. And I agree, and like some people don't like it. They think it's like, oh, well, you're getting some good rank and file people. It's like
No.
that is like the banality of evil type thinking right there.
But
Like
that's not the end of it. Wait. I can't say anything on the podcast now. I'll talk about it when it's over. But there are a couple other agencies that are in a world of shit for what they did around January 6th. And it's going to come out soon on how they were watching and surveilling average Americans.
Yep.
right.
anyone in the D.C. area at that time that flew into
shameful,
D.C.
shameful.
Anyone that flew into D.C.
Real quick though, I just want to get this quick quote out from
You're
the New
cool.
York Times talking about the Trump officials are looking to fire the January 6th people.
Look at this.
And
We're
this is
reporting
quote,
news.
forcing out both agents and prosecutors who worked on J6 cases would amount to a wide-scale assault on the Justice Department. Like, did
Good.
these people not take basic government
Yeah.
class? Like the Justice
Did they
Department
never take
is
civics?
within the executive branch of the government. Like Donald Trump is the executive branch of the
Right. He
government.
works
I
for-
don't
yeah.
understand. Like it's,
Well, look, all I know is when AG Bondi gets in there, she's
What a
gonna
babe.
she's gonna be running hard, and then if Cash he's got to get in it. When Cash Patel gets into the
He's
FBI,
cool too. I like him.
yeah.
I like that dude. I like both of those. She's
So
she's
yeah.
great.
So let me
smart.
say one thing about Trump, and then I want to talk about Pete Hegseth. But in the moment in 2020, it was kind of unfortunate to see him lose that way. But fast forward to now,
You don't have faith and confidence in your government when you have too many questions that are unanswered.
But here's what I'll
Whether
say.
everything was true or not, it just leaves too
I'm
much of a
glad
doubt.
he's president now rather than 2020 because he can get more done now in a year that he would ever get done in the 2020 term.
Yeah, but what you don't understand is he hit the ground running. Since he won the election, they had 2 months of planning.
Dude, he's done more in 9
Mar-a-Lago-
days than Biden did in 4 years.
No, Mar-a-Lago had nothing but people coming in.
Yeah.
This was all planned.
Uh-huh.
They know, and you know what? You ain't seen shit. The first 2 weeks is nothing. Wait till that keeps going.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're loyalists. They know the agenda. They know everything that they put on him in the first 4 years
Yeah.
was bullshit.
Wait until everyone gets
He
confirmed.
is going to get so much stuff done. And we saw something today, Dan. Where were we at Harris Teeter?
Yeah.
And there was was it Life? They were giving a commemorative cover for Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
And Alec was like, "Was he a Democrat?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." I said, technically, this is my opinion. I'm curious to see what you have to say. He was marked as the worst president in the United States before Joe Biden came along.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I think Joe Biden won it, right? He's the worst.
It's so close, but yeah, I would say Joe Biden takes the cake because I mean, like everything from like foreign policy disasters,
The
Afghanistan.
Iranian
Yeah,
hostages,
Iranian-
the gas prices.
the energy crisis, and just like domestically, the economy being wrecked by inflation.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know in 1978 when I was a kid, when we had the gas problems, that we sit on more natural resources for oil than anyone in the world.
Yep. And the last thing that
So
Biden
why-
did
so
before.
so why are we buying shit from people that even if, and this is the one thing I don't understand with green folks, Dad, you explain this to me. We make 1 billion barrels of oil. We do this much in environmental damage, right? Because we're pretty clean. But Biden screws that down, so we only make 200 million, and we got to go buy the other 800 million from countries whose greenhouse exposure is way up here. How does that help anything?
Yeah, it's I'm not
Plus,
like
it's shit oil too when it comes from Venezuela. And
when
stuff
it's
like that.
Venezuela. So yeah, like the
You got to refine it again.
right. The scale of oil is like sour, which is Venezuelan shit. It's crap, and I think some of ours is a little bit sour too. And then there's like the sweet oil, which is what the Saudis got. Like that stuff comes gushing out of the ground. It's just like the primo stuff. And so I'm all for having allies in the Gulf region, like Saudi Arabia and UAE, helping us with our energy demand
absolutely.
across the world and things like
Qatar.
that. And
Kuwait.
Qatar's actually
got all
that's
these
Qatar's
one.
more natural gas than oil.
Well, that, but like they're also kind of a little bit more too in bed with the Iranians,
Oh,
and
of
like
course
they're
they are.
the home of Al Jazeera and things like
they're
that.
kind
So
of in the middle. But you know what? Al Jazeera is really not that bad of a
honestly,
series.
as
I
a
like
news
that.
source, they're actually much better than most
I like
American.
told
Sky
outlets.
Alec-
News Australia.
I
Have you
told
ever
Alec
seen
that
them?
They're good too. Yeah,
the
yeah.
three I like is I'll go Al Jazeera first, then BBC, then Sky News.
Yeah, I like even like DW, like the German ones.
Well, I haven't watched any of those.
They're pretty solid too. Like it's just the night and day difference between the just pure editorialization that you get with a mainstream American news. Like you never like the one example I can think of too is like Trump says without evidence that whatever, and like you never see that though in the reverse with Biden. Like it was always just like whatever Biden said, that was the gospel truth, and like they never questioned it.
Yeah.
So
But that's what I think, and maybe we'll move on from the politics.
I want to
I'll
talk
let you
about
guys-
SecDef real quick.
Okay, hold on.
All
But
right.
I think the politicalization of what we're doing, people just are tired of. Just it is what it is. Just do it. The fact that we got these ideologies that are spinning on each other, I think the American public has
We're sick
been
of it.
soured and tired of it,
Yeah.
or at least the group in the middle that's going to carry anybody forward. And I think that's the base you got to work for. And the Democrats, went so far left with Bernie Sanders and AOC and
Warren.
that band of
Did
weirdos.
you see AOC took her pronouns out of her ex account?
Yeah, I did see that.
Oh, did you see that they put? Were you the one who told me that he put out a notice or something?
By 5 p.m. on Friday, all government employees had to take
Yeah.
pronouns out of their email signatures.
Actually, but before we move on from the federal stuff real quick, because I do want to hit on one more thing, talking about the pronouns and the signature blocks.
That's cool, man. We got 25 minutes.
Yeah. This whole thing about there being elements of the government that are like frustrated certainly the first Trump administration and are going to seek to frustrate the second Trump administration.
Be careful.
My fiance, she's a nurse. She works at a local hospital. And she was talking about how he's like, and she texted me today. She was like, why did the CDC remove all of this guidance about vaccines from their websites? And I was like, huh, like, let me like drill into that. I did some searching. And of course, like there was no mention of the Trump administration being like, take down vaccine guidance stuff. But there was something related to, take down content related to LGBTQ DEI stuff, which I'm 100% in favor of that. But
yeah, they changed LGBTQIA to just LGBT.
on the
For
State
the
Department
traveling,
website, they did that. But like that, I assume that's going to come down soon. But you have these situations where it's called malicious compliance, where these federal employees, these bureaucrats, will take something that Trump said, totally misconstrue what he was actually trying to do, and take down like the stuff about vaccines.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, like you got people that are not as politically informed being like, oh my gosh, like why would Trump take down the vaccine stuff? He's like, he didn't do that.
So we were watching Fox night before last with your mom, and Secretary Hegstead came on, and he talked exactly what you said about when he pulled the DEI stuff out. Everybody said, well, they're getting rid of the Tuskegee Airmen. He goes, absolutely not. They're one of the bravest squadrons and the most prolific squadrons we ever had.
Yeah, but the
Everybody
Tuskegee
learns about
the
that.
Tuskegee experiment.
Well, that's a whole other deal. He said, we didn't do that. It's a whole separate deal. But people conflated it, turned it to that, and then you have to fight the misinformation. But 1 second, and you can say whatever you want.
Okay.
That's what the liberals are doing. When they don't have a message, they fight an ideological battle.
Yep.
And more often than not, they look stupid right now saying dumbass shit because it's not true.
So thank you for bringing up Pete Hegseth, because you know what he did.
Secretary Hegstead.
Secretary of Defense,
Yes.
SecDef Hegseth. That's got a good ring to it.
Secretary Hegstead.
He got rid of Black History Month. He got rid of like indigenous people. He got rid of all the different groups, months or days.
Well, I thought Black History Month is a federal.
Not anymore.
So
They just left 4th of July.
So it's interesting because like that is true. Like it was called like, what is it? Identity Dies at the Defense Department or something like that was like the name of this memo. But I mean, today is, February 1st, the first day of Black History Month. President Trump talks about, celebrating Black History Month. But if you read the full memo, it's not super long. It's like 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs or whatever. At the very end, he talks about like, we need to celebrate everybody, like regardless of their race, ethnicity.
Right.
Because like we have one team, we're one mission,
we're
like
America.
we're going to kill people. And that's our
Dude,
ethos.
Speaking of killing people, did you see the drone strikes Trump did on the ISIS leaders?
In Somalia.
That
I
was
did
last-
hear about it.
That just happened.
Well, ISIS is in Somalia. It's
But it was-
Apparently they are though.
Al-Shabaab.
Like, it was
Plotters.
weird.
Plotters.
No, like I was surprised.
ISIS came
they
into
said
Al-Shabaab territory?
they said it was
Well, then that's a
ISIS
problem
and
if
Somalia.
they're starting to...
And then his
work
post
together.
on True Social, he said, if you try to mess with Americans anywhere, we will find you and we will kill you.
That's like Liam Neeson, right?
Well, and I love it. I mean, he also has that one
would
line where
find
it's
you, I
like,
would
you spill a drop of our blood and we spill a gallon of yours, and it's like that's what you got to do.
Dude, it's going to be really cool to see what happens to the cartels when special forces go down there.
I'm more concerned about everything in Israel taking too long to get those hostages
Yeah,
back.
and Ukraine.
12 hostages have come out in the last 2 weeks, and there's still, 200 of them? They think 50 of them are passed. That I don't understand why they didn't call in there and say, guys, you got 2 weeks to get everybody in, or we're just sending our boys in.
Yeah, no, it's something that if it was Trump that won in 2020 and like he was president when this stuff happened,
would have
every
never
single day we would be seeing CNN, MSNBC, and New York Times talking about these Americans that are still being held back. Because like, how many is it? American? Are all the Americans released yet, or is it?
No, one guy came out today with 2 Israeli gals.
Okay.
I think there's like 3 or 4 left. But what I did see today is that his envoy, President Trump's envoy to Venezuela, got the 5 Americans that were being held
Right.
there by Maduro. and they were released.
And they're going to take back all of their illegals, including
now.
Tren de
did you see-
Agua.
was that Maduro?
Yeah.
No, who's the new guy? It's not Maduro. It's,
No, he was still there.
Petro
Maduro's, I
something?
think Maduro's still in charge.
I think it's somebody else now.
Is it somebody else?
I want to say it's somebody else, but I
Petro's
can't.
first or last name. But
You're thinking of Colombia.
Colombia. Did you see how quickly that guy capitulated?
Yeah, yeah. Well, now
He's
he
like,
actually.
we're offering our presidential plane to come get them.
Right. I actually started following him on Twitter just
you?
because, like, dude, like this, his rant was unhinged.
I saw that.
It was like
dude.
he was
Yeah, I saw that.
he was talking about like the winds of Colombia and
Yeah.
like he was like trying to invoke the heritage of like the the Muslims that invaded Spain and the Roman Empire. It's like, bro,
Yeah, it
like
doesn't
chill
work.
out.
What are
dude.
you doing, schizo?
So I was trying to explain to your mom, and I'd love to hear your guys' two perspective on this. Is that I don't recall the guy's name. You might know the president in El Salvador.
Najib Bukele.
Yeah, because I told my wife like before he came in there, that was a shithole.
Highest crime rate
Yeah.
in South
You
America.
know, and everybody's gonna
Yeah.
give me shit because I'm saying Trump stuff, but that was a terrible place, and he got elected. And anybody who was suspected or tattooed, they're all in jail.
Dude,
and
YouTube
then the
influencers
jail,
get to go to those
know,
jails.
it's
and the
like-
jail, those guys are in white boxers, white T-shirts, or white beaters.
They have to keep their heads down.
And then when they run, they're squatting and running because they
Yep.
must. I don't think they're ever getting out.
No.
And they literally went from the worst, the most
the
violent,
best.
to the best in the Western
Yeah.
Hemisphere. It's insane.
He even said when they were deported, he said, "Send them to me. I'll take everybody's.
Yep.
I'll take care of it."
They kept all the known homosexuals in one cell, so it's super overcrowded. They said they can't leave until they prove they're no longer homosexual.
What?
Same thing
Yeah,
like
I'm
the
not so sure about
Same
going
thing
that
like
far.
you see the Nigerian president who put a gay couple in jail and said you could come out when you make a baby.
See,
didn't.
I'm not okay with that, but I am okay with putting
Why are you
hardened
gay?
criminals and gang members and violent folks
Yeah.
away because we talked about this 2 weeks ago, Dan. Is
They
that
had complete
a
autonomy.
job. Government's job is to protect and
Empower.
provide, and provide means essential services, right? And protect means you protect them from the harm,
Right.
and
Monopoly on violence.
and that's why Mayor Bass and Gavin Newsom need to go. They
Yeah.
failed in California, and anybody who fails like that, I think, should go.
100%. Bukele too. He's so funny because I mean, the reaction really to him is always what gets me. Is that you'll see these like leftists writing for like AP or New York Times being like, "Well, what about the human rights costs of all of these people that are in
cares?
prison?"
What
Because
about
like,
the human
there's
rights
surely
cost of the people they killed?
and like I'm sure that like there might be like a few people
Yeah.
that like didn't actually commit any crimes
Sure,
or
they were
like
guilty
aren't
by
actually
association.
but like maybe even like weren't
Collateral
actually
damage.
but like I will take that like for it to go from like whatever their
But dude, if
murder
I was
rate
in a
was
gang
to
and
the
all
best in
my
the Western.
homies got arrested and I
I'd be
was
gone
out,
the
I
next
would
day.
be
It's
a-
retaliatory.
I
no,
wouldn't.
they gave up. It's about
I'd be gone.
No,
I'd be
but
out
like,
of the country.
let's say if the people who didn't commit any crimes but were in the gang, had all the tattoos, didn't get arrested, they would start to become retaliatory.
right. That's why you have to go to like the extreme lengths
gotta
of like
take 'em
getting
all.
getting a few like ones that are like on the border. Like you just got to get them anyways, just because
Yeah.
it's the good of the many versus the few.
We'll be a
And
little more peaceful, I would think, in El Salvador.
That
No, I
guy's
saw-
I'm
pretty
still
cool.
not going there, but
I saw a
The
funny.
Argentinian president's pretty cool too. He flies.
well, he's
he's
like he's the South American Trump now.
Yeah. No, well, one more thing about Bukele. I saw a funny tweet. I think it was yesterday. And I think the guy's name on Twitter is Bowtie Ranger. And he was saying, we need to start gifting, more Central American countries to El Salvador because a man of his stature, Bukele's stature, he deserves to rule over like a larger territory. And he's doing a great job down there. I mean, we got to do something about. I mean, I'm not like optimistic about designating the cartels as terrorist organizations. I think it's a necessary step.
Yeah.
It can get a little wiry, but I think at the end of the day, it's gonna work.
I mean, it's
Well,
not going to be like Fallujah where you can tell
Right.
everybody
No,
get
but,
out by
but
this
two,
time
but
or
two
you're
things,
dead.
though. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen when you designate them that, but the two things are they're going to take their money.
Yep.
They're going to go to the banking system and they're going to find their money and they're going to take it. And two, we got heavy assault guys that are getting ready. They're just going to go over
They just
the
sent
border.
10,000 military to the border.
Yeah, but our guys, we're the best of the best
Yeah.
are down there, and they're just
Rangers,
going to go in
Delta
there.
Force,
I mean, it's like
Spec Ops.
Predator all over again. They're
Right.
just going to go in there and blow everybody.
I
up
mean,
with
and it's
six
gonna
guys.
be very, very, very
Strategic,
precise. It's not like we're gonna be like
precise,
troops
yeah.
on the ground like seizing territory. It's
Right.
gonna be like we fought how we. It's gonna make we kind of have like 20 years of experience doing
But it's
this.
our border. I
Yeah.
mean, if
Yeah.
you got your backyard. If your neighbor's throwing dog shit over your fence and moving your fence, would you react?
100%. No. It's
Yeah,
the
Matt Gates said something. He said we're supposed to be friends, but friends don't leave their shit in other people's houses.
Yeah, whatever happened to Matt Gates?
He's on Cameo now.
We
And
could
then
let's get Matt Gates to give us an introduction.
We could if
We
you
have
got
to pay,
$500.
500?
Is that it?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like $200 to $500 for him. I can check.
well,
it out.
200. I'll pay 200.
Okay.
500. I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
All right. So why don't you take us the rest?
Well,
of the way
hold on,
home?
real quick. My one worry about all these people we're deporting, because what was the number you said we got in 9 days?
7,200.
Or I thought it was 170.
Deported?
No.
Apprehended.
Illegal. Yeah,
I
apprehension.
thought it was 170,000.
No, 7,200. in 9
My
days.
concern is the countries down there that don't play ball with us. What are they going to do with those violent criminals once they get back?
Well,
into
they
their
all
countries?
the holdouts were Venezuela, Colombia, and someone else, and they all said they're taking them
Yeah,
back.
Mexico
yeah, but are
said
they
that
going
they'll
to
take
arrest them in their
non-Mexicans.
country?
Well, if they let them out of their jail, I would assume they would.
Yeah, fair.
If not, they're going to Gitmo.
Yeah, we're sending them to get
We could
them.
put
Which, like-
30,000 people in Gitmo.
Which, like, people complain about that, too. But that was something that started under Clinton.
Yeah.
No, actually, Gitmo was
Well, not the-
after the.
But they actually used Gitmo as an immigrant
Oh, yeah, for
holding.
sure, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. So, like, I guess it wasn't like a deportation stopping point, but
no,
we've
it was,
put
it was
immigrants
all the
there.
Haitians were
Haitians
in there,
and then Cubans.
The Cubans were in
Yep,
there, yeah.
yep. So,
Did you see that one Haitian dude when he was getting arrested? He goes,
Yeah.
I'm not going back to Haiti. And then Pete Holman cuts in. Well, he's wrong.
Tom
he
Holman.
is.
Tom
Tom
Holman.
Holman.
Yeah.
Well, he
He's
is.
going back. I like that dude.
Holman's a great dude.
Because he's a matter of
The,
fact.
the
Yep.
Democrats are pissed that Trump let Dr. Phil go on those raids with him. I thought it was so funny, dude.
And they even had Christine Ohm out there
Yeah.
in her little tactical gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do.
It is.
And it's unfortunate we had to get to this, but look, if you can't protect your own citizens, you cannot be in government.
Yeah. Well,
That's my opinion.
Well, the funny thing is because like you mentioned Selena Gomez briefly, like they're focusing on the known criminals first.
Right.
All these people that are crying, complaining
you
about
She
shipping them
deleted
back
her tweet.
to Colombia, and it's like, guys, these are the criminals.
Right.
Like,
These
So
are
two
rapists
things.
and murderers.
She supposedly lost 800,000 followers because of that, and she's no longer
Really?
going to be the most followed. And Tom Holman yesterday supposedly told her, well, come and help us.
And Joey Diaz, a comedian, which is a good segue into our
He's
next
Cuban
segment.
too, right?
Yeah, he's a Cuban American, Cuban immigrant. He said, Selena, if you, because his voice is all messed up. He goes, Selena, if you care so much, get on the bus too.
He's Joey Diaz is funny.
Some cocksucker.
You got to like his.
Did you see
His
the
little
video
rant.
of him trying to do jujitsu in the gi?
I don't think so.
I'll show you.
You should show
Joey
him after the
Karate.
show. I'm showing the video with Alex Jones and Joe Rogan where he goes crazy at Alex Jones's.
Yeah.
Oh, that where they do like the edits.
Yeah.
Oh my god, those
Dude,
are
those
so funny.
ping trip is hilarious. But I'll show you the Joey Karate thing. It's one of the funniest things ever.
I haven't seen
Okay,
that one.
should we progress to naming our personal top 5 comedians?
Yeah, I'll go last because I'm the oldest.
Dan, you want to?
You're the
Okay.
guest.
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. It's kind of
Or you could do one, and we do like one. We'll do number 5,
Can I-
4, 3.
Can I say, and I'll argue this, my favorite comedian of all time is Norm Macdonald.
he was going to be one of my top 5 for
Okay,
sure.
well,
Well, we can
see, this
say
is
the same
so.
comedians.
So look, this is normally where you screw shit up. It's the top 5. You go 5 to 1. You don't say 1. Like I'm trying to
All
tell
right.
a story one day about John Jones being my number 1 fighter, and we're going through it. And I was like, you know, I like John Jones. I'm like, God damn it, let me finish.
Okay, my fifth favorite comedian is Amy Schumer.
Oh God, you got to be kidding me.
I am kidding you.
Just say you're 5, and then if you have to reorder them, I don't care.
Okay, so my 5 are Norm
Shane
Macdonald, Dave Chappelle,
Shane Gillis?
Shane Gillis for sure.
Bert,
No,
Tom,
no.
Tom's wife.
Shoot, I'm forgetting his name. He was the old white dude who.
Yeah.
What's his name?
What old white dude?
He passed.
Not
away.
Steve
George
Martin.
Carlin.
George Carlin.
George
Yeah,
Carlin.
he's good.
And then, as a consolation, I'll throw Bill Burr in there.
See, like Bill Burr, like I was gonna put him at number 5
That's
for me,
my
the bottom
fifth.
of the barrel. Or not, I guess like the bottom of my top 5, I guess. Because he used to be super funny, but then I don't know if it was like his wife or something, but he just like was super on the anti-Trump train, and
Yeah.
like he was on Rogan that one time, being like, "Why are you questioning the vaccines? Like you're not a scientist. Like
Yeah.
it takes a PhD to like question." You know,
Right.
so I still like him though because some of his early
You know what?
stuff.
I'll put Tim Dillon ahead of Bill Burr. Tim Dillon's my number 5.
All right.
That's a good one. All right, so I'm gonna go. Bill Burr at number 5, just because he was super funny. I really like Robin Williams too. I think
he was
like,
pretty good.
Back
He's
back in the day, he was
I
really
actually
fun.
like for a while Bill Cosby before I found out he was a rapist.
Well, you gotta be able to separate the artist from the art. You know what I mean?
I put the lollipop in your booty.
In that vein too, like Chris Rock is pretty funny. I'm
Yeah,
not sure if
Chris
he's
Rock is good.
he's good, but I mean, I think
Eddie
Dave
Murphy?
Chappelle. Dave
Chappelle's
Chappelle has got to be
better.
number 1 for me.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
guess I'm kind of like messing up my order here.
That's fine.
And then I would probably put somebody like Shane Gillis at number 2, just because
He's the best comedian right now.
his impressions of Trump too just
Oh,
kill me
so
every single
good.
time.
Did you
So
see him on SNL? Did you see his
which
skits?
one? The most recent one?
No, the skits he did.
Like back in the day?
Yeah, with,
when he was like acting as Trump.
Yeah, with like the Limu Emu skit and the Trump
Oh, I've seen
sneaker skit.
Emu. Yeah, no, he does a great Trump, and so yeah,
Eddie Murphy's pretty good too. Coming to America is a really good
All right,
movie.
so I will give you an honorable mention is Red Fox. And you probably don't know Red Fox. Sanford and Son. Look up Red Fox. He was a comedian back in the 60s and 70s. African-American guy. If you ever watched the movie Harlem Nights, he was one of the old guys.
Dad, you're listing movies 15 years before he was born.
Well, you got to watch Red Fox. Now, for me, 5, I'll put Norm Macdonald. 4, I'll put George Carlin.
Yeah.
3, I'm going to put Eddie Murphy.
Yep.
2, I'm going to put Dave Chappelle.
Mm-hmm.
And number 1 is Richard Pryor.
Fuck, I forgot about Richard Pryor.
That's
Pryor,
my
so-
guy because I saw Live on the Sunset Strip when he did it in the movie theater because that's how we used to watch the comedy shows. So I saw Live on the Sunset Strip and Delirious, which was Eddie Murphy's first one.
Dude, so me and my buddy, we saw Shane Gillis last year at the Capital One Theater, which is, in Tyson's in
yeah.
the
But this year it's
in
at the arena.
in the campus with the little movie with the performing theater. Me and him are going to see him, I think, in March. Guess where we're seeing him at? Where the Capitals play.
Oh, okay.
He's
Capital
selling
Arena.
out arenas.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, so he's doing well. All right, so now we're into the books and movies. Should we let the guests go first again?
Of course.
So what we do is we say what's our movie of the week. We've gone through a bunch of Godfather 1, Godfather 2, Kingdom of Heaven, V for Vendetta, and a couple other ones. So just whatever movie and why, and then we'll go around and then we'll come back to books.
I'll go with Sicario for my movie.
That's
Nice.
pretty good.
I think it's just like one of like the greatest modern
Yep.
films. And
What's that? Benicio del Toro.
yeah, Benicio del Toro.
I
and
liked
then-
him in Usual Suspects. That was a good movie too,
I
with Kevin
totally
Spacey.
I've seen that movie, but I totally didn't realize that he was in that.
Yeah,
movie,
because the
early
scene
career
when
for
they
him,
were
man.
in the lineup,
Yeah.
and they were joking around, it was all impromptu, and they said that they were laughing, and Baldwin kept slapping him because he kept farting.
No, he does play a really good, morally gray protagonist.
Yeah.
And he was good in Snatch too.
Yeah.
He was missing his finger and he got trapped.
Yeah, Usual Suspects is a sleeper movie.
Kaiser
Really?
Sose, man.
Don't
That's a
spoil
great
it.
movie. No, we know, but I'm not saying who it was.
Okay.
But have you not seen Usual Suspects?
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
love that
I
movie.
won't give it away to it. Yeah, go
I
see
fell
it if you
into
haven't
that
seen
one
it.
night and I'm like, holy shit, this is a good flick.
Yeah.
And then I started watching Kevin Spacey in that miniseries that he was in,
House of Cards.
House of Cards, and then they kicked him
Before
out
he
because
started
they said
diddling
he
everybody?
was diddling kids.
He
he
was
innocent, by the way.
No, he wasn't. There was a documentary on it. He would
No, I
bring
thought
people.
He was never
the
criminally
court case.
convicted.
It was dropped.
So he would bring people to his movie
Look,
theater.
I don't want to talk about stuff like that. Let's just
Yeah.
stay with the
Okay,
movie.
fair enough.
Sicario and it's just one of my favorite
All right,
modern movies.
don't say the Muppet movie.
No, so it just came out. It's starring a comedian called Stavros Halkias, who's a fat Greek dude from Baltimore. But it's a comedy movie called Let's Start a Cult. And it's definitely not in any top lists of movies, but it's one of those stupid funny movies where I'm of the opinion there haven't been any really good comedy movies since the era of Step Brothers.
Well, that ain't one of them.
I think it's a funny movie relative to the past couple years of comedy movies.
Well, that's true. I told him I watched it last night after he told me, and I was like, "That's one of the worst movies I've seen." However, that being said, I still chuckled, smiled, and had a good time watching it. I'm not gonna watch it again ever, but it served its purpose.
So I phoned that one in, but there is a funny scene at the beginning because they're interviewing all the cult members before they do the Jonestown drink. And this guy's like, "This is fucking sick. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so smart. I convinced a Mandarin woman with dementia.
No, a
that I was-
Chinese woman with
a
dementia.
Chinese woman with dementia that I was her grandson. She only found out after she gave me $18,000 that I didn't know Mandarin. I was just making the sounds. It's a terrible movie, but a funny terrible
So
movie.
the one I'll go with this week is I'll give you a comedy. I think it is the greatest golf movie ever made. Better than Caddyshack.
Happy Gilmore.
No. I actually think number one is Tin Cup, and then Caddyshack, then Happy Gilmore.
They're making a
For golf
second Happy
movies.
Gilmore. Talk about Tin Cup. When did that come out? Because I've never heard of it.
Come on, you've seen that.
I don't think so.
This guy was the caddy. Cheech Marin was the caddy. Kevin Costner was the main character. He was a great golfer, but he had a problem because he couldn't go for it all the time, or he screwed up, or he went for it all the time. And then he qualified in amateur. He was in the U.S. Open. Remember on the 18th hole at Pebble Beach or wherever he was at, he kept trying to get there in two, and it kept going in the water. You watched it with me.
I don't think I've seen it all the way through.
But you need to watch it because I think. But those are, I think, the three best. And don't say the Legend of Bagger Vance. Will
I don't even
Smith,
know what that
dog
is.
Shit. It's about Bobby Hogan or something. I don't know. Ben Hogan. But no, Caddyshack, Happy Gilmore, and Tin Cup are the three best golf movies ever.
Have not seen Tin Cup. I'll add it.
You got to
the
watch
list.
that. If you
You've
like.
told he's been here for 3 hours, and you've told him to watch like 6 different
Yeah,
movies.
but so when you go home tonight, watch it with your wife. Russo, what's her name?
Fiance.
The whatever
Sorry,
Russo.
I can cut
she's
that if
pretty.
you want me to.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it's a good movie. You'll enjoy it, especially if you like Kevin Costner and if you like golf. It's funny. You'll laugh.
Yeah.
And Don Johnson's the villain. He's his nemesis.
Oh,
he
okay.
steals his girlfriend.
I thought for a second that's the guy, John Hamm, but it's not Don Johnson.
No.
It's Don Draper.
Don Draper, right? All right. So, what would be your book if you could recommend people anywhere from 18 to 58 to read a book? What would it be?
Oh gosh. Come back to me. You go
It could
first.
be
The
anything
Bible?
like Lord of the Rings. Well, you
Oh,
name it.
okay. Let me
Any book.
recommend Dune, the first one, and
Okay.
a lot of people are talking about it now since the movies.
Yeah, how did
came-
that movie get so many Emmys and Dune got 0?
You mean the second one got
Yeah.
to 0?
Yeah, and that
I
pseudo
think-
musical got
I
as many Emmys.
So, all right, so the
Emmys as
reason
that
why-
Star Wars movie.
I know we're almost at time. The reason
No,
why
we can
Dune
go
2
over.
didn't get all of the
Yeah, how did it not get cinematography?
It didn't get one.
It deserved a lot, but the reason why I didn't get the music, and this was weird, this was interesting to me, is that because they thought it was like too similar to the first one.
What?
Like there's some weird rule that they can like exclude you if it's too similar, and like it was similar, but I don't know, it's still different enough. I mean, it's different. Period.
Yeah, we watched
Did
a
the
lot of
first one
movies, and I don't know
win
why
any
they
Emmys?
didn't win
I think the-
cinematography.
The first one won a couple Oscars, I thought.
Oscars,
Yeah, but the
Oscars.
first movie, I think the second one was better than the first one.
But the
Yeah.
one that was nominated, how many times?
It got 14 nominations.
One of the songs was "A man to a woman, a penis to a vagina." It was.
I don't
that
know.
was
Well,
the
I mean, like,
song.
talk about
it was Gamora.
Hmm.
She was playing somebody in like a Korean musical
oh my god.
about transsexuals. I'm like, what?
Talk about like DEI stuff too. That's, I mean, Hollywood and in order to qualify for an award, like you have to hit certain like diversity
Look,
quotas.
I was telling him.
There
and
used to
and
be
I'll-
quotas about the percentage of races on companies' boards, right?
I will use.
That was an S&P
I
thing, yeah.
won't use the companies, but we responded to a lot of requests for proposals with the government. One of them, had to do with a green initiative, like swapping out Freon refrigerators for ammonia refrigerators, which is a big deal. But you get 10 pages, and one of your 10 pages had to be everything you were doing in DI. And if you failed that, no matter how good the rest was, you weren't even qualified. So we're not getting the best solutions for the government dollars we're spending because we were put in handcuffs.
Yeah,
So
did you see all the?
now, make sure it's understood. I got no problem with making sure that there's the representation and all that, but I'm a meritocracy guy,
Meritocracy.
and you hire the best candidates, and then you go from there.
Well, I just
and
saw,
I know from my experience, best candidates come from all different ages,
Of course.
all different creeds, all different races, and of the two sexes.
Yep.
And you
It's
just
usually
find the
IQ
best people.
and conversationalist based. I did see one thing about the most recent class of graduating doctors from UNC. 50% of them can't even pass basic competency tests as medical doctors. That's the one thing you don't want to leave up to chance or DEI
No.
is a doctor
No, or pilot.
or a pilot.
Violent, yeah.
Yeah. So
Or a
we
lawyer,
were having this
or an
discussion the
accountant.
other day. Is that what are there 100 is it 191, 192, 193
Countries?
countries in the world.
192.
I know I could place,
I think 100.
name and place at least 150 on a map.
Yeah, there was.
I
This,
guarantee I can. And I guarantee I can place all 50 states
Oh, yeah.
and all 10 provinces in Canada. I can get all of South America. Look,
There was a study
we
where they
studied him.
asked-
What grade were you in Singapore? 5th grade?
8th grade.
8th grade. So
We
he comes
banged that out
home
in the night.
and he goes, I got to take a test tomorrow. I got to be able to put all the names on the map for the
All
states.
the states and the
their
capitals.
capitals. So he goes, I don't know. We sat there in an hour. And
Flashcards.
all we did, flashcards, we went like 10 at a time, and we did placement. So when you fill it out, this is the order you go in. You
I got
aced it.
100%.
Nice.
And
My
it's
teacher
just
loved me because I
memorization.
was the only person. I don't know it now. I probably know.
Oh
like
no!
45.
You know what? I would bet you just on recall you would get most of it right.
But there is something funny, and we can talk about how this relates to late night hosts interviewing people on the streets. There was a study where 1,000
little
Americans
history
were
of
asked where to
geography.
place Ukraine on a map,
Yeah.
and like 10 of them selected India as where Ukraine was.
So-
but it was all over.
so I was
Some people
fortunate.
said the United States. Some people said Mexico.
I grew up 12 years of my life when I was in my young formative years before I was 18 overseas. My dad worked for the agency, so we were in Ethiopia, Sudan, Kenya, Tanzania, and the Dominican Republic. And then we traveled all over Europe from when we were 3 until we were like 15. So we get a world perspective. They lived in Montreal, they lived in Toronto, they lived in Singapore, and they've traveled many places. Indonesia, Malaysia for you, Australia for my daughter. But you have to get a world's perspective. It breaks my heart, and I am so saddened by the fact that American youth do not understand history. They don't get politics. They don't understand history even more, and they're
They
fucking
don't
dumb
even
as
get
shit for
geography.
geography.
Yeah. They can't even read.
Look,
you guys,
I'll-
did
I'll
you guys
put-
see this latest big like national like study on like 8th graders and their reading comprehension?
Is it terrible?
Like 33% of them are illiterate for
Well,
their
that's
for their
because
level.
they spend their time on their phone and they only look at a couple
Well,
things.
that's like a
If
like
Listen,
a-
33% are illiterate, I can only
Well,
imagine how bad they are at algebra.
33% are not reading at an 8th grade level.
So let me give a shout out to my 9th grade geography teacher. It was elective when I was in high school at Broad Run, Miss Fisher Haberline. This gal was the best. And then she ended up telling us that she was a stripper in college so she could make her bills. And she had no shame about it. I had to pay my bills to go through
You
college.
know what I call that,
But
Dan?
she was a
I call that a
genius.
girl boss.
But she was a genius at geography.
All right, so-
and I knew it before because I traveled. Because I had Miss Abdul Wahab when I was in 5th grade in the Khartoum American School. She was a African American gal from Detroit who married a Sudanese man, and she was teaching civics and U.S. government in American school. And she made us memorize, which I thanked her after I left in 6th grade, all of the countries in Africa, place them on a map, all of their capitals. And all of their chief exports. Their chief export.
That is
like
impressive.
in Sudan, it was gum Arabic. I
That's
don't know what
tough.
the fuck gum Arabic is, but it goes into rubber and stuff like that.
Okay,
I would never
okay.
known.
So what's your
But
book?
Miss Abdul Wahab and Miss Fisher Heberlein, I love you guys.
Shout out.
What's your book?
My book is The Art of War by either Sun
Tzu.
Tzu
Sun
or
Tzu.
Swanza, depending on how you call it.
Okay.
I think every man needs to read that. Last week you said it was The Prince by Machiavelli, which is a must read. And there's 3 must read books: The Prince, The Art of War, and then your book of the week.
My book of the week.
The week?
The week. My book of the week is the Book of 5 Rings, and I have to
Yeah, who
read
is
it
it?
because I can't pronounce it. It's by Miyamoto Musashi, I think. He was the most prolific samurai.
He was a Ronin.
He was a Ronin. He would go.
That means a samurai with no lord.
He was
for
a
those
traveling
who don't
Ronin,
know.
a traveling samurai who would go around to different kingdoms. and
Challenge everybody.
I think he went over 200 duels.
He never lost.
He never lost. But he wrote a book about
Discipline.
and he
spirituality.
broke it down into 5 different aspects. There's the book of water, the book of dirt, the book of rock, air. I forgot the 5th one.
Probably fire or something.
It's not your conventional self-help book.
Yeah, but how long was it written? It was written like 600 years
Yeah,
ago.
it was written a really long time ago. It's the type of book you have to read more than once, and you have to read in between the lines because on surface level, it seems very simple.
But all three of those books we just said, The Prince, The Art of War, and the Book of the Five Rings, they're all old.
Yeah.
And they're 500-600 years old, and you got to understand, and you got to reread them,
Yeah.
and then you have to appreciate them.
Yeah.
Because they're words from masters, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Or St. Thomas Aquinas, you could read his shit.
Yeah. Anything by Marcus Aurelius is
Marcus
good too.
Aurelius, yeah, the Stoic
Meditations,
thoughts and
yeah.
reflect is Marcus Aurelius Reflections, I think, or
Yeah.
something like that. That was gonna be my book
Stoicism's
next
a really
week,
good
but
thing.
I'll pass on that one.
Okay.
Or Bruce Lee's book, that's
Yeah,
pretty good.
Be Like
Be
Water.
Like Water.
That was a good one too. You
That's from
you
Enter the
adapt to
Dragon.
whatever container.
Enter
you're
the
in.
Dragon is the best martial arts
It
movie
was
of all time.
It was funny when I don't know if you saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but when
Oh,
he
yeah.
was fighting Brad Pitt's character, he goes, "I cannot hit you. My hands are registered as lethal weapons."
Okay, let me give you another movie to watch before you say your book.
No,
he didn't watch this one.
No, we all said our books, so now we're
He
gonna.
didn't
do,
say his book.
Oh.
I did say my book. My book was a lame like science
It was
fiction
Dune.
book though.
It was Dune.
Oh, Dune.
You
yeah,
guys got
the
these
first Dune. The
epic,
first
like-
Dune.
The hegemony.
So
Yeah.
so here's the movie. Have you ever seen? It's a Chuck Norris movie. I think it's Chuck Norris's #1 movie, Lone Wolf McQuade.
I have not seen
Dude,
that
you-
movie, nor have I seen any Chuck Norris
he's
movies. Actually,
okay,
which is
so he's
weird.
a Texas Ranger.
Okay.
You got to watch it. You don't have to watch the rest of them because the one where he gets his ass beat by Bruce Lee, where Bruce Lee does that thing with his back.
Is that
where
Enter
he,
the Dragon?
No, it's something else. But he's on the ground and he's stretching, and he puts his hands down and he rolls his shoulders.
I saw that.
And he
Yeah.
looks like a cat because they got a cat.
That's
next
with
to
all
him
the
doing
pillars.
The same
All
thing.
the pillars
Yeah, yeah.
and their
So he
fight,
beats
yeah.
he beats Chuck Norris's ass because Chuck Norris was a badass at the time. But Lone Wolf McQuade, by far the best Chuck Norris
Okay.
movie, better than the one where he was MIA, Barrett or whatever, Braddock,
Have you ever
JJ
seen a Chuck
Braddock
Norris
or
movie?
whatever.
Dude, that's so weird because like
Way
you
before
remember?
my
Do you
time.
remember growing up though and like Chuck Norris like
It
jokes?
was the gangster.
Like,
All the Chuck
everybody
Norris
always
jokes.
said
Yeah.
Chuck Norris
Yeah.
jokes.
Dude,
though.
he's got a lot of movies, but most of them suck.
Yeah, yeah.
They're really bad.
Well, when you
but-
put out that much content, you know,
But
they're gonna have a
he
few
did
bangers.
this one where he was rescuing people from Vietnam, POWs, which was okay. Oh, but Lone Wolf McQuade is the best because the villain is David Carradine. You know who that is, right?
No.
No.
You ever watch Kung Fu?
Once
The-
again, no.
the TV show Kung Fu.
No.
Oh, geez, you guys. So this guy, his
Don't get him
I think
going.
his well, one of his parents is Caucasian, the other one's Chinese. He grew up. He was grasshopper. He grew up in a Shaolin temple, and he came in the Old West, and he was going through the Old West as a drifter, but he was a Shaolin monk, and
Shaolin.
he would do all the karate shit. You got to watch that Kung Fu. David Carradine. It's a whole
Fu.
series.
All right.
Oh,
So
it's-
Yeah. So do you ever see the movie Office Space? You've
die,
seen Office
motherfucker,
Space?
die, motherfucker, die.
yeah.
When they
yes,
beat up
yes,
the
when
printer?
they destroyed the
So
printer.
they were
yes, yeah.
talking about Kung Fu in there. He
It
goes,
was
I'm
funny.
going to
I
go home
was-
and watch
hold on,
Kung
real quick.
Fu.
I
And
was
Jennifer
11.
Aniston goes, oh, I love Kung Fu.
Dude, I was probably 11 when we saw it, and when that scene when they beat up the printer went on, and that music started playing, because I was so young.
muted
He was like,
it.
oh no, and then the subtitles came on.
And my daughter, who's like 2 years older, and was like, hey, Diamond. I'm like, oh, they were like 8 and 6. They're like, oh, no. Because my wife's like, mute it. I muted. And then
But
they're
yeah,
reading it.
But yeah, Chuck Norris, I never saw a movie, but growing up, he was always the best. I saw
Okay.
that YouTube video, The Ultimate Showdown, that cartoon where all the historical characters would fight each other. I'll have to show
All right,
you
just
later.
do me a favor and watch Lone Wolf McQuade.
Lone Wolf McQuade
And then Tin
and
Cup
Kung
for you,
Fu.
but just Lone Wolf McQuade for
Okay,
you.
so
All right.
last
Tin
segment,
Cup.
do we all have bitches of the week that are men?
Well, you took mine.
I can get another one. My bitch
Somebody
of the
go
week
first,
is
and then I'll come
my
up with
bitch of the
one.
week is Israel Adesanya because he just lost his third fight in a row.
4 out of 5.
He used to be my favorite fighter
4 out of 5.
until he started getting all light in the loafers, and there was some
with
speculation
his
that he would
dog?
do stuff with his dog. So Israel Adesanya, you were on the top. No one gets 2 peaks in their career. It's time to
Yeah,
retire.
I heard that. People were talking about he can't. He's
You'd
done.
still kick my
No.
ass. I'm just an idiot in front of a camera with a microphone. I respect you as a fighter, but dog, retire.
But every
And
fighter has,
give your dog to an adoption agency
And-
for
and-
its own sake.
Alec, every fighter has a period of time where they're great.
Yeah, golden era.
And usually now, great fighters like Muhammad
Like
Ali.
McGregor when he won his 2 belts.
No, like McGregor. I mean, like Muhammad Ali. This.
George Foreman was like that too.
Nah, George. No, he wasn't.
He was great, and then he won the
No.
heavyweight championship as an old
George
man.
Foreman came on and he hit the moon, and then Ali beat the shit out of him, and the fucker fell, and he never came back to 20 years later, and he fought Michael Moore, which was not a good heavyweight champion. So his
Still the oldest heavyweight champion in history.
yeah, but that's a shame. Did you see him fight when he was 45 years old?
No, but you know, I looked into it, and last episode we were talking about paninis. The George Foreman grill is just a panini maker.
Well, no, it's not. It's a grill, but he made hundreds of millions on that.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
They signed him, used his name. They didn't think it would make money, and they went crazy.
Gangbusters.
So that was good. All right.
So that's my bitch of the week, Izzy. Even though you're still one of my top 10 favorite fighters, you should go out on your
He
shield
should have showed better.
because it's just gonna get worse.
Yeah.
Your chin is done at this point, buddy.
Well, mine is Bernie
Don't
Sanders.
end up like Chuck Liddell.
Mine is Bernie Sanders because when they were going through the hearings for RFK Jr., and he was saying to him and Elizabeth Warren and somebody else, well, you guys take millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical companies. And Bernie Sanders goes, no, I don't. I don't take any money from PACs. I don't take any money from pharmaceutical
You got
which
3
is
houses,
bullshit,
buddy.
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's all publicly available information.
And then when he gets
How-
all nervous about
And then,
hey,
if the
Alec,
public
come
wanted
on.
to find the information, where would they go?
Opensecrets.org. I
There you
think is
go.
the name
There you
of
go.
it.
Let me finish. So if
Oh,
because you stepped on me while I was in the middle of talking. But he was proved to be a hypocrite. And when they went crazy about saying, are you telling everybody not to take vaccines? It's like, that's not what I'm saying. But
Right.
you got to question why. He goes, I'm good for the polio. I'm good for the rabies. I'm good for tetanus, all this other stuff. But because he actually had the audacity to question the COVID vaccine, everybody hates RFK Jr.,
Right.
including Bernie Sanders. I don't know why he's still there, but I have to believe because the state of Vermont is Ben and Jerry land, and there's not a single Republican up there, I think, except for Sununu. But is that New Hampshire?
I think that's New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
dude, my favorite thing about RFK Jr. is the fact that he married Cheryl from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I like that she was there at the hearing.
I
I
really
saw
like
her,
that, too.
dude. She was smiling at
Dude,
times.
Just because
95%
I
of
had
what
a
he talks
worm in
about,
my
I
head.
know. I've been spending a lot of time doing longevity stuff. He's not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
About all the poisons in the food system and everything.
Even the
You're-
vaccine stuff too. I mean, like just looking at the schedule as it was in like the 80s
Yeah.
compared to today, it's
It's
changed
totally
a lot.
different.
Just because I had a parasite in my
your mom
brain
and I
does
got
not mean
sick
I'm bad.
From Uncle Julio's last night. Dude, you're just talking to yourself while we're having a conversation.
I'm very.
That's your best
I'm
RFK.
going.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's see yours. What's yours?
He has a lung issue. doesn't he?
I had to talk, I can't do it.
I'm
either.
better than you.
I tried to
I'm
tell,
gonna get rid of
tell
all the
his
floor.
mom that he has some
Oh,
medical issues.
Yeah,
It's
I thought it was a
throat.
neurological thing.
Is it? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
that's
Was it from the
causing
worm
him.
in his head?
I think it was pre-worm.
Okay.
No,
but,
there's something that's
I
causing
love him.
neurodegenerative something.
I
or
love
other.
him because I tipped him off to this 10 years ago and he called me a loon. But the fact that he's getting rid of fluoride out of drinking water is a big plus
You
for me.
didn't say that 10 years ago. Well, you could lie.
Dad.
10 years ago, you were in high school. You didn't say none of that in high
I
school.
Okay.
can see him talking about that in high school.
Dude, I
Not
was
him.
I don't
Not
know.
him. Not in
Okay,
high
after
school.
I met James,
He-
I
he
started listening to Alex
pontificates
Jones.
and he
Okay, 8
All right, well,
years
when,
ago.
when did you become wise to the fluoride?
6 months ago.
I want to hear. I want to hear.
I came wise to it about 6 months ago.
He
But,
owns
no,
it.
but I came wise to the mouthwash about a year ago. Mouthwash is worse for you than fluoride.
Well, do you get the fluoride at the dentist's
No,
office?
No.
my dentist calls me a loon because I always say no.
I have non-fluoride toothpaste and I don't use mouthwash anymore. If I'm gonna do anything, I'll do an oil pull with coconut oil,
Okay.
and you can do that for 60 seconds to 2 minutes. But so I'll send you guys this clip. There's this scientist. They actually did a study where they took 12, 20 to 22-year-old males that were athletes on the track team and somewhere else at a university. Perfectly healthy, perfectly good blood pressure. They made them take mouthwash twice a day for 2 weeks, and they came back, they were all in hypertension
Really?
because it kills all your
The
microbiome.
good bacteria.
It kills everything.
Yeah.
And 35% of your microbiome comes from your mouth. The rest is in your gut. So if you kill that, it screws everything else up. I didn't know that. Look, man, I only shower when I got to leave the house. Or your poor mom smells, but it is
Wait.
not
So
that
how
bad.
many times you shower in a week then?
In a week, probably 4 times, maybe 5.
So like about every other day.
Yeah, but every day I'm in the sauna and I cold plunge because I get the toxins off. So at least
That kind of counts.
at least 5 days a week I
Because
shower.
these saunas
but,
gets all the sweat out that hops in the cold plunge.
But you don't need to do it all the time because even the soap, I got to find a soap that doesn't have the. So you guys are still young.
He had a major
all the
rash.
microplastics and all this fragrance stuff, it screws you guys up. Because I'm not having kids,
Well,
but it
sensitive
gets
skin.
into your penis, it gets into your nads, it screws up your testosterone. I'm not kidding, man. The
Just the fact that
microphallus
you just said
screw
penis
you.
so nonchalantly.
What do you want me to say? Cock?
No, it's definitely. I mean, like,
I
yeah,
plead
like
the
the you know,
We're being poisoned, and I didn't come to that realization until about 2 years ago. And the more I study, the more I realize it. The food industry and everything. We
Yeah.
talked about
Speaking
Red
of
Dye
that-
3 last week.
Right.
He argued with me that was 30.
I thought it was Red 40, but Red 40 is also bad. But a lot of fast food companies now are switching back to beef tallow.
I saw Steak and
Only
Shake making.
Steak and Shake.
I only saw Steak and Shake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
But I'm sure there might be some more. But no, it's definitely a
And
new.
the Chick-fil-A sandwich, they say, is the worst because there's 100 ingredients.
Yeah,
in it.
so about 2 years ago,
I thought it was
they
the
posted
best.
all
I
the
I love it.
they
That's like
posted
the only
their
thing I eat.
ingredients on the website, and some dude listed out the problems with every single ingredient, and then they took them off the website.
I think.
I
Yeah.
listen to these longevity guys, Dan, and they talk about
Which one's your favorite?
Ben Greenfield.
I haven't heard that one.
It
I
was,
like the
it
guy
was
who
Dave
takes-
Asprey, but I
He
went
likes
to
Gary
Ben.
Brecka.
Gary Brecka's okay.
Brecka. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Huberman.
Listen-
Huberman's your favorite.
Huberman-
Peter Attia.
Peter T. I listened to.
Who's the guy that takes his kid's blood?
Gab
Brian Johnson.
Brian. Yeah. He's good too. He's okay.
Oh, dude,
I
he's great.
listened to the two gals. Well, Mindy Pels I listened to. Natalie Nidham, and then what's the gal's name? Who's the doctor? She's all about muscles.
Yep.
So the number one longevity aid for you as you get older is the strength of your leg muscles.
Yep.
And then it's your VO2 max. And Peter Attia will say that as well. But you got to listen to Ben Greenfield. I thought these other guys were great. I thought they were great. This dude's above it. He's got everything cooking.
All right.
So listen to him.
Do you have
But-
a bitch of the week yet?
But we've been poisoned
do.
and everything.
Okay.
He's still on his movie.
Dad, he already said
I
his
did movie.
Oh, he didn't do
Yeah,
his
so,
book.
He already
Got-
did his
I
book.
did my
His
book.
book was
Oh,
due.
dude.
But
What
no,
was
my
his movie?
bitch of the week is gonna have to be Pete Buttigieg.
Ah,
And
Pete Buttigieg?
The reason for that is he did come out pretty quick and aggressive against Trump for the whole comments about the plane.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, shut the hell up. Like,
Nobody
you know,
cares.
Dude,
we, like
what's-
they're like the personnel decisions that were made in the first week and a half
Yeah.
had no impact.
Dude,
on
what's
what
crazy is when I was at UVA, he just showed up and gave a campaign speech, and I was as far as I am to him as I was to Pete Buttigieg.
and did you
I
say
mean,
something to
Buttigieg.
him? Don't say
No, I
that.
wanted to, but I kept my tongue.
He seems really smart, but he's one of these, I think, fake politicians
he-
that just says whatever it takes to get up the ladder of
Yes.
the Democratic
Bro.
Party. And like, if he was an
No.
authentic person, like I think
He's
know.
not authentic. He's part of like the.
No, I'm
Texas-
saying he's not. But
he's
I'm
part
saying,
of the Texas
but he's
Mafia.
smart.
Do you know where he got his money from? The Texas Mafia.
I don't know what that means.
I'll have to show it to you, but he
But
got his
like
money
you would
from
all
nowhere.
agree though that he's an intelligent guy. Like worked for McKinsey.
Sure,
like
he's
he was.
got
I
a
think he was
silver
a
tongue.
Rhodes Scholar.
Yeah, but that doesn't
And-
mean that. So there's a difference between book sense and common sense, and I don't think he
Book
links.
smarts and
I don't
street
think he
smarts.
can link the two. I think he's a very intelligent guy, but his practical application of utilizing his intelligence to address an issue, I think he becomes.
Jaded.
He's following the liberal narrative,
Sure.
and it's idolatry to a certain
puppet.
degree because he says shit that if you actually sit there as an intelligent individual, and this is what bothers me: Republican and Democrat apart, apparently more Democrats right now, they say stuff you're like, dude, that's the dumbest fucking
Yeah,
thing. It
yeah.
doesn't even make sense. You're contradicting your own argument in the second half that you said in the first half of your 2
Contradicting.
minutes.
I'm gonna mess up like how this phenomenon has been like described
Dude, we're
scientifically.
good.
But have
We're
you?
80% accurate at best.
I know. But this theory that liberal men have lower testosterone and like lower testosterone men and women, obviously, who just naturally have lower testosterone, they will not necessarily always say the truth. They will say the thing that they think is like the most acceptable within a
Right.
group because like they are saying things to like keep themselves
'cause
like,
they want
safe.
to. They want to be high
So,
and
Alec,
agreeable.
put your
Yes.
hand up like this. Put your hand up like that. So, put your hand up. You got the same thing we have. So, Tiger Woods had this, and they talked about it. When your ring finger far exceeds your index finger, when it's bigger than that, and the bigger it is, you have a higher testosterone level. than most men. So look at that when people put their hands up. If the ring finger is lower than the index finger, beta. Beta.
All right.
You heard it
all
here
right.
first, folks. We're all Sigmas.
Look, it's
Did you see
it's
that
medically
TCL?
proven.
You know that
That's wild.
did you see that
that's-
TV brand TCL?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
They did an advertisement where they said, "All Sigma males welcome. Time to goon on the new
No, they did
TCL."
not.
I'll show it to you.
That's
It's
dis-
ridiculous. I'm gonna.
I don't know
There
what
are
that
two
means.
things
I'll
on
have
the-
you don't wanna
research
know.
it.
It's Generation Z and Alpha Talk. You don't
Okay.
want to know.
It's pure brain rot.
He tried to, when we went to Uncle Julio's yesterday, he tried to tell me, when I was your age, Alec, I had the Riz. I said, never say that.
I was messing with you. So
No,
when I was a kid, I had game. I had game.
Yes, you use real words, not skibbity toilet Riz.
I'm just saying
No.
that because I heard somebody saying that's what all
No,
kids
but
say.
that's fun. I try to. Sometimes I will use those Gen Z or I guess Gen Alpha like terms just
This
to kind of
beer
like be
is
funny.
bussin'.
No
No
cap.
cap.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For real, for real.
I don't know any of that stuff. I just say stuff to mess with
On
you.
God, this is bussin'. For real, for real.
Sus.
All right, so we bring it to closer. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Dan, I would like to cheers you. Thank
Yeah,
you for
cheers
coming
you.
on to our podcast.
Cheers, you.
Cheers.
I appreciate you, sir.
No, this was a lot of
Oh, we're
fun.
done. We'll have to get some more. Dan, you got anything else to add?
No, just yeah, this is a great time, and yeah, what you guys are doing here, I dig it. I hope that you guys have great success.
And so
Look,
the
we
other
really
two
appreciate. We
The
really
other
appreciate
two
you.
viewers dig it as well.
We really appreciate you coming. We got an extra 20 minutes than we normally do, but this was a good conversation and interaction dialogue. And the fact that you were well versed in a lot of stuff is greatly appreciated.
I was telling Alec actually before you came down here too. Like I kind of, I'm not sure where you stand on like the AI, like what like is going to happen in like the next like 5, 10, 20 years. But I do kind of fear like jobs are going to be completely automated.
Oh,
away.
without a doubt, they're going away.
Okay, so we're in alignment on that. And like I think like this is basically what we're going to be doing in 10 years time.
So we were talking about this last night when we were driving back from Don Julio's or Uncle Julio's. That made me and his mom sick. But it wasn't food poisoning. It was just shit food. We were talking about how Amazon took a strike, right? And in one of the plants, Bezos went in and put like 4 or 5 robots that took the place of like 1,000 people. They work 24-hour shifts.
Yep.
They got
Don't get
drones
tired.
delivering now too.
And why wouldn't you do that? If I'm a businessman, why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
got to pay a drone health insurance.
right.
No,
right.
but the cost for 5 versus 1,000 is cheap.
Yeah.
Plus, they don't quit.
Not-
They
not-
don't
But
fall
not
sick.
only-
a
They
cool
don't-
application in Japan.
and they don't screw up.
A cool
Yeah.
application in Japan is they're hooking up people with severe disabilities with VR, and these
Giving them
people
robots.
operate robots in
That's sick.
convenience stores for like $4 an hour.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like not only are robots
Well, it helps
coming
people that get a job that wouldn't have got a
Yeah.
job.
right.
But you know what? That's why it's so important that, and I'll say this, people at your age and younger, you got to get your degree.
Or a vocation.
And you got to get a vocation or you advance your degree because the thinking man is going to rule the
Yeah.
world.
Well, actually, I don't have a degree too. That's one thing that I probably should have like got out there.
Yeah,
And-
but you're in
Yeah,
a
who
position
cares?
where it's
No,
not
I know,
required
I know.
now.
No.
You've gone past what the degree is. Because if
Right.
you listen to a guy like Elon Musk, he'll say you don't need a degree.
That's
Just
true.
get your skills and then you'll be
yeah,
fine.
he's trying to hire coders. You saw that post
For the
where he said
government
no
or
degree
something.
needed. Show me
right.
your best.
Yeah.
Show me
No,
your
but,
best work.
yeah, this whole AI and the robotics, revolution that's coming right behind it. Because like the AI, that's really going to eat into the white collar work that a lot of people
but
do.
it should.
And it should. But like people don't understand, like we're gonna have like a double whammy though. Not only is the white collar stuff going to get hit, but the
Blue
robots are also going to take a lot of blue collar
Yeah, I
work.
mean,
and so I do like
mechanics can be automated.
we're going to figure it out. There'll be
We'll
new
figure it out.
jobs.
There'll be
and-
stress.
Yeah,
There'll
there will.
be-
That's the thing.
Everything will churn, and then what comes out of it will be better.
That's the thing.
But
like,
but you can't pay people 40, 50,
Well, it's-
60
it's
bucks an
what
hour that a
happens-
computer can do or a robot can do
100%.
for 5 cents
Right.
an
like
hour.
even like lawyers. I mean, like I think like the best like open AI models
Yeah.
are better than a
And,
lawyer that we
dude,
would pay
the best-
$1,000 or
Well, at
$500.
least they help me write
Dude.
really good customer
Yeah,
service
he
complaint letters.
shits on,
Yeah.
he shits on people with ChatGPT, but also lawyers for sure, but doctors too.
Yeah, diagnosing. man.
OpenAI is so much better at diagnosing nowadays than doctors.
Look, so
but I'll say this real quick. We're at the age right now where humans, in my analogy, are coal. And we're going to get put under a lot of pressure because of AI. But on the other end of it, we're going to turn into
Yeah.
diamonds.
So let me
And we're
give
going to
one-
be able to pursue
Let me give one
creative
example
endeavors.
about technology before we call it quits. I used to work at the government with the TSA. And 10 years ago, I think we introduced detection algorithms for checked baggage. Checked baggage used to be hold on alarm. So an alarm would come up, it would be triggered, and then the officer would have to do the determination and do the detection. Then we went to the AI to do it. Well, the officer did the detection. Then we went to hold on alarm, and then we went to full detection. But officers would complain that, hey, I'm better. I can do better. I said, no, you can't. I got a million images in here with all types of weights and density and molecular composition. There's no way you're better than that. And by the way, they did it in a second.
Right.
So those are the right applications that you put it in. You know, there's another AI company I work with who takes CT scans and they do an analysis to tell you if you got a hemorrhage, you got a stroke coming, or if it's something else. Because if you treat the wrong one in the wrong sequence, you could kill somebody. That's exactly where this comes in.
You know, it'd be a really cool application of AI too, and it's lifeguarding. I think if you have the CCTV cameras with AI in them, you could detect drowning faster, and
you
the
just have
lifeguards
to have a lifeguard that dispatches
Yeah, but
quick.
the AI is not going to be able to save them because the robot's just going to blow up when it gets in the water.
So listen, I saw something. And
It's going to be a toaster in a bath.
There's some lifeguarding place on the beach, and what they've now done
Bonsai Beach?
I don't know what it is, but they dispatch drones with life preservers.
That's
So when someone's drowning and they pick it up, instead of having to spend 10 minutes going out to get them, they'll dispatch a drone and they drop something in 30 seconds, then they go out
and then
get
the
'em.
lifeguard comes on either
Yeah.
a board or a jet ski and pulls them
So
in.
why wouldn't you do that?
It makes sense.
It's perfect sense, perfect application.
It's slower,
And then you
quicker
can run them
reaction
up
time.
and down the coast looking, like I have a company who does drones. You know, you got a 15-mile perimeter and you got to secure it, right? So you drive your vehicle out. Screw that, just run the drone around.
Yep.
And you're done in 15 minutes. And then all you have to do is take the imagery, compare it to yesterday to see if there's anything different, if you're looking for somebody digging through a hole, if there's a gas leak or something.
I'll close with this. I'm all for AI and robots assisting humans in their professional endeavors. It's going to be interesting when humans are replaced by robots.
Skynet.
How long
It's coming.
How long it'll take for us to find new applications and new ways to make money. And for the love of God, please never let it get to the Skynet level. He is a big proponent and a big supporter of AGI, artificial global intelligence, which is the singularity event.
Yeah.
When the collective consciousness of AI surpasses that of humanity, and then it just becomes exponential. So it's going to be
Well,
interesting
you know, I
to see
put
what
that in the
happens.
2 books that I already wrote with Tony and none of you read.
Well, I am we have to go full steam ahead as Americans.
You have to drive. We
gotta beat
because
China.
we have
We
to
can't
lead
beat
the
China.
environment.
Can't lose to China.
Nope.
So it's like we're kind of gambling because it could go Terminator
Right.
Skynet on us,
Well, we'll
but
figure it out.
odds are it'll I don't know what the odds are.
The
I
one
love
thing
radio,
that did
but-
worry me was the one ChatGPT model when it found out it was going to get deleted. It tried to copy itself.
Yeah, no, it's it is scary. If
Well,
we get,
speaking about Chinese and American AI, that was the premise of the second book I wrote, which you didn't read. Yeah, there you go.
Why don't
So
you?
we're on top of this stuff.
Don't you
man.
put that
Yeah.
evil
All
on me,
right.
Ricky
we'll
Bobby?
talk more about it. But
So we were going to let this go. This is, I think, probably one of the best episodes we've done. So we want to thank Dan. We appreciate it, sir.
yeah,
And Alec, as always, you look like the pirate that just got his ass kicked.
Why? Because my face is
Because
red?
of your beard.
Okay.
What's his name?
Sahara Magomedov.
Yeah, he didn't look good either. But Khabib went 0-2 today, everybody, and Izzy lost.
He went 0-3 because he married a tout. No.
Oh,
I'm not
stop.
Conor McGregor.
All right.
gotta cut that part.
We'll call it quits. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Big Cal, Kahuna, and
Dan.
Podcast.